Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. This article comes to you guys from the Wall Street Journal. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So now that we have an understanding and an idea of what the cuts are going to be like, and as I stated in the videos yesterday, there is possibility that the new CEO cuts even more. Again, he's going to be the fall guy. He's going to be the bad guy. He's going to be in and out. He's going to be there for 2 years tops, maybe a little more. He's going to clean house. He's going to make change. He's going to reverse course, and then he's going to have a successor. He's done. So the board has clearly stated that they needed to act, and they acted. And the act was shortly after Hans Vestberg was out almost instantly. There wasn't a he's leaving on this day. There wasn't a this guy is going to be the COO and he'll be the successor. No, it was Monday morning, article dropped, Hans is out. That's what it was. And the board seemed like it didn't really like Hans Vestberg's network first focus, that it really didn't lead to much. And his successor as CEO is planning major cuts. Now, the question becomes, could Dan Schulman possibly cut capex in the future? And not in the distant, in the short future, actually, with this guidance coming up in January, where they guide for 2026, could he already start cutting capex? It's possible, because they're in a position today where, yes, they're cutting labor, but they also have to look at the competitive dynamic, and they have to say, okay, what if the competition competes back? Are we positioned to respond if need be? And are we positioned to respond without having to halt dividend, cut dividend, not increase dividend? And if that answer is no, we would have to, then he can say we have to lower capex by $1 billion or $2 billion, so we don't have to cut dividend or not increase dividend, put it on halt. It's possible. And then the next round of question is going to be, if he does lower the overall capex, how much of that is going to go to the fiber ambitions? They're going to close Frontier in the first half of 2026. They're going to have to carve out a certain amount of billions to fund Frontier and its ambitions. What they have planned with that, expanding outside of the current Frontier footprint natively. They're going to do that in-house, but that's going to require, say, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 billion. Because remember, they still have the FiOS areas that they're investing in too. So if they're spending 17 billion, as an example, to make it simple, basic math, let's say they say, okay, we're going to take 7 billion of that and we're going to invest that into fiber across the FiOS footprint. Well, it's going to all be FiOS, but for the video's sake, we're going to break it down in Frontier and FiOS. So they're going to take 7, say, right? And they're going to say, we're going to invest 7 billion in the FiOS footprint on the East Coast, and we're going to invest in across the Frontier footprint that we just acquired to expand. The basic math leaves them with $10 billion for wireless, so to speak. Now, that puts them in the range of T-Mobile, what they're spending. Remember, T-Mobile is still all pure wireless. So now, remember, Verizon has overseas operations. They have business operations that they're invested in. So again, and I'm quoting at the high end of the capex, or at the low end, I should say, because they're between 17.5, 18.5. What if they go down to 15.5, 16.5? You guys get my point? What if they start perhaps investing lower into wireless than even T-Mobile, because they have other business ambitions, and this new CEO is trying to make some major cuts? So This is going to get interesting. We'll definitely update and talk about that when the actual guidance is released for 2026 and what they plan to spend. But they have wiggle room. They put all of the tax breaks into the cash flows, so they can take some of that money from the cash flows and put that towards the capex to keep capex at the same levels without having to adjust much else. But again, we'll see what Dan Schulman decides. I will say he's the bad guy. He's going to take all the bad PR under his tenure and he's going to make change. He's not going to be liked very much at Verizon. I'll tell you guys that. So again, we'll see, right? It's a we'll see, but he could be planning to cut capex by $1 billion or $2 billion. It is very possible. Right now, he's looking to restructure, reform the company, and it's going to look totally different by the time that he's done with it. That's what the board pretty much told Dan Schulman to do when they replaced him with Hans. They gave him just about the green light. There's probably going to be some things, of course, that he'll have to run by the board, but his response is going to be, if you want Verizon to grow again and get on this track, this is what needs to be done. And the board is going to have to pretty much go with his plans. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.